You're tired, overwhelmed, and everybody's telling you to just take a self care day. But what if that's not what you actually need? What if real self care has nothing to do with bubble baths, candles, or face masks? What if you're doing self care wrong? What's up, it's your girl Kesha B, your mediocrity escapologist. And today we're calling BS on what they told you self care is. Because somewhere along the way, self care got watered down into hashtags and bath bombs, and we lost the real meaning. The kind of self care that's messy, sometimes uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary if you're serious about protecting your peace. Truth, self care isn't just an escape, it's liberation. And I'm going to show you 3 ways to actually do it right, even when life be lifing. Let's start with the truth nobody wants to hear. Self care without boundaries is just fake feel good. You can't meditate your way out of chaos if you keep letting chaos through the front door. Every yes that's not aligned is a little leak in your peace tank. I remember a time when I said yes to everything, from projects I didn't care about and events I didn't want to attend, to dropping everything to play therapist, fixer, or cheerleader on demand, and even jumping in to save people who didn't ask to be saved. I was drained, resentful, and calling it being helpful and supportive or dependable. But nah, that was just generosity without boundaries. And that's not noble, it's freaking exhausting. I was being complicit in my own burnout. You see, boundaries aren't about simply cutting people off. They're about protecting what keeps you sane. They're the filter between who gets your time and who drains your time. So here's your first self care experiment. Start saying, let me think about it, instead of automatically saying yes. That tiny pause creates space for your peace to speak up so your mouth won't keep signing you up for stuff your spirit can't afford. Because boundaries aren't walls, boo. They're doors you finally learn how to lock. And speaking of boundaries, if you're ready to stop people pleasing and start protecting your peace like it's your paycheck, you need my playbook, Bodacious Boundaries. It's your no fluff guide to saying no without guilt, setting standards that actually stick, and learning how to prioritize yourself without feeling selfish. You'll walk away with scripts, mindset shifts, and tools to help you stop overgiving and start living. Grab your copy using the link in the description or pinned comment below. Trust me, your future self will thank you for this one. We live in a culture that worships busy. If you're not multitasking, hustling, and chasing goals, somebody out there is telling you you're falling behind. But here's the truth nobody posts about. Rest is rebellion. It's a protest against burnout culture, against the idea that your worth depends on your productivity. When the world tells you to grind harder, rest says, watch me slow down and still win. And every time you choose rest, you're saying, I refuse to trade my peace for someone else's pace. When I finally stopped wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor and started honoring my rest, I noticed something wild. I didn't fall behind. I started catching up with myself. And that changed everything. I started hearing my own thoughts again instead of everyone else's expectations. Ideas that used to feel fuzzy started coming through crystal clear. I stopped reacting to life and started responding to it. That's when I realized rest wasn't slowing me down. It was sharpening me. See, the world will convince you that slowing down is weakness. But now, boo, rest is strategy. It's what sharpens your intuition, resets your creativity, and keeps you from snapping at your loved ones for breathing too loud. So the next time guilt tries to trick you and tell you that you should be doing more, tell it, take a seat, guilt. You're not on my to-do list. You don't earn rest. You require it. It's actually one of the most strategic things you can do for your sanity. Rest isn't a reward for productivity. It's the power source behind it. All right, so you've rested, you've recharged. Now it's time for the part nobody puts on a vision board, accountability. Yes, accountability is self-care too. Here's the thing, real self-care doesn't stop when you feel better. It continues when you start doing better. And one of the most overlooked ways to do that is through self-accountability. So we've been taught that self-care is all about softness, bubble baths, journaling, candles, and affirmations. But real self-care is the habit of treating your commitments to yourself as seriously as the ones you make to everyone else. Because let's be real, if you're anything like me, you'll move mountains to show up for your boss, your kids, your friends. But when it comes to you, you'll negotiate yourself right out of your own goals. And that, boo-boo, is not self-care or self-love. That's self-abandonment with good intentions. But self-accountability, it's self-care because it keeps you in alignment with the version of who you're becoming. It's what turns inspiration into transformation. And listen, it's not being hard on yourself or being perfect. It's being honest with yourself, checking in regularly, reflecting on what worked and what didn't, and making small intentional shifts so you don't keep running in circles. When I started doing that, actually evaluating my progress instead of letting judgment run the show, everything changed. I noticed more positive changes in my life. I stopped spiraling over bad days and started learning from them. I started tracking tiny wins instead of only focusing on what wasn't done. That's when self care starts to feel like self respect. So here's your accountability self care experiment. Keep a short check in journal. Each week, ask yourself three things. Where did I show up for myself this week? Where did I drop the ball? What's one thing I can adjust next week? No guilt, no overthinking, just awareness. Awareness is the bridge between intention and action. It's how you safeguard your goals, your growth, and your peace. So instead of waiting for someone else to hold you accountable, become the kind of woman who can trust herself to follow through. That's what self care at the next level looks like. So, yeah, self care might look like journaling or spa days on the outside, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for those things. But the real flex is living a life you don't need to constantly escape from. It's saying no when you mean it, resting when you need it, and showing up for yourself even when nobody's watching. Because that's what real self care looks like in motion. So now it's your turn. From everything we talked about today, boundaries, rest, accountability, pick one, just one. The one that made you go, yep, that's what I need right now. Drop the word self care in the comments and tell me which one you're working on. I'll be right there in the chat cheering you on. And if you're ready to start practicing real self care, not just the kind that looks good online, don't forget to download the Bodacious Boundaries Playbook using the link below. It's packed with tools, scripts, and the mindset shifts to help you say no without guilt and protect your peace like it's your paycheck. And hey, if this video helped you see things differently, go ahead and do all those boss YouTube things. Like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little real self care in their life. Now, my fellow escaper, go out and be your own kind of different. Toodles!